10 NFL moments you won't believe exist. Before we start, I would like you to hit that red subscribe button so you never miss out on any of our videos. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to NFL World. There are so many special moments in the history of the National Football League. How can you narrow them all down to a list? It is not an easy task, but that is what we are going to set out to do. When we use the phrase top moments, we are looking for specific things that benefited the NFL and its fans in general, from the early years of the NFL being created and as it evolved over time. Sport of football continued to gain in popularity, taking on a bigger role in American sports and culture. Here are 10 NFL moments that you won't believe exist. Number 1. The Super Bowl. The 2000 Super Bowl champion Baltimore Ravens had a 5-game stretch in which they didn't score a touchdown, and their only points were field goals by Matt Stover, 14 in all. The team went 2-3 in that run of offensive ineptitude, but only lost one other game all season, setting an NFL record with 165 points allowed and almost scoring as many points in Super Bowl 35 as they did in that historic 5-game stretch.
I believe maximizing every single day. I mean, that's the thing with me. I take it one day at a time and go out there and try to be the best person and the best athlete and the best player I can be.
Number 2, largest point. The largest point spread in NFL history came when the Denver Broncos were favored by a 26.5 over the Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 2 of 2013. The Jags covered, falling 35-19. Number 3, controversial decision. The commissioner made the controversial decision to play games 2 days after John F. Kennedy's assassination, as television was providing wall-to-wall coverage of the assassination and its aftermath. Just after the early games kicked off, Lee Harvey Oswald was shot in the parking garage of the Dallas Police Headquarters, while JFK's horse-drawn Kyson was led through the streets of Washington. Rozelle would call playing those games his biggest regret. His successor, Paul Tagliabue, would not make the same mistake after 9/11. Number 4, set the record. Adrian Peterson set the record for most rushing years in a single game with 296. Remarkably, Peterson went into halftime with a pedestrian 43 yards on 13 carries, 3.3 YPC. But in the second half, he carried 17 times for 253 yards, 14.88 YPC, a yardage total that would tie for 9th all-time in a single game. Number 5, Music City Miracle. The wildcard AFC playoff game on January 8, 2000. The visiting Buffalo Bills had just scored on a 41-yard field goal by Steve Christie to take a 16-15 lead with only 16 seconds left in the game. All the Bills had to do was kick off, tackle the return man, and then knock down the pass, and they would advance to the next round of playoffs. Instead, the Titans ran a trick play, which you can watch being played out in the video. Was it a lateral or a forward pass? That will probably be argued for decades to come, because the camera angle is a key factor in knowing the correct call. We might never know the real truth. The Bills have never been back to the playoffs since this game. Another thing we know is that the guy who scored the winning touchdown on this crazy play, Kevin Dyson, is the same player that would be tackled 1 yard shy of tying up the Super Bowl for the Titans later on in the playoffs. Number 6, the Ice Bowl game. The Ice Bowl game was played in December of 1967 between the host Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys. The game in question was for the NFL championship. The weather that day was horrific. The temperature at kickoff was negative 15 degrees Fahrenheit, or negative 26 degrees Celsius. Lambeau Field had issues due to the intense weather conditions, and their system to heat the turn had broken down. That left a sheet of ice on the field when they lifted off the tarp, and conditions couldn't have been any worse. The Packers defeated the Cowboys 21-17 to become NFL champions, in one of the most special games in NFL history. Number 7, Heidi game. In November 1968, the New York Jets were leading the Oakland Raiders 32-29. There was approximately 1 minute and 30 seconds left in the game when NBC abruptly cut away from the conclusion of the game to return to their regular programming, broadcasting the movie Heidi. Football fans were furious that they couldn't see the conclusion of the game, and they flooded NBC with phone calls. The Raiders did mount a big comeback in the final 90 seconds. For NFL fans, this game was significant because it convinced the networks that they had to air games until they naturally concluded, whether or not the game ran over the allotted 3 hours. This allowed fans to watch games in their entirety and not be cheated out of any more fantastic finishes. Number 8, 73-0 in a championship game. The 1940 NFL championship game wasn't a rout. It was a humiliation. Defeating the Washington Redskins 73-0, the Chicago Bears recorded the most one-sided victory in league history. According to the Washington Post, the Bears scored their 9th touchdown on a double reverse. That doesn't exactly sound like sportsmanship. However, the lopsided victory was probably inevitable given that Washington threw 8 interceptions, 3 of which were returned for touchdown. Perhaps the worst part was that it was a home game for Washington in Griffith Stadium, with over 36,000 people in attendance. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss out on any videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.